To Hollywood now, and a rare look behind the scenes at what Marvel hopes will be its next big blockbuster, Captain America: Civil War. ABC's Nick Watt got to see the set and meet the cast.
You chose the wrong side.
This will be the most talked about scene of the summer. Superhero civil war at an airport, Captain America versus Iron Man. The rest take sides. Which sides? We won't say.
I think that Marvel likes to keep the fans excited, guessing, curious, all that stuff.
It gets ugly.
You know, in sports, when you'd split up your own team and you start kind of rationalizing why, well, I was never crazy about that pitcher anyway.
Are you a good person or a bad person?
Well, I think we're all good and bad in this film.
You're all good and bad?
Yeah, because it's a civil war.
This is a fight within a family. You know, this isn't just, good guy versus bad guy, and that's what makes it far more relatable and akin to the struggles that we have in life.
You just started a war.
I think it's kind of natural for familiarity to breed contempt. You can get more kind of ticked off with your own best friends and your closest allies than you can with perfect strangers.
On the roof!
And the airport is where it all goes down.
Hey, everyone.
This is an enormous battle with, 12 characters.
I could do this all day.
It gets pretty hairy, I must admit.
Cap versus Iron Man, shot here on a soundstage outside Atlanta, Georgia.
You're playing with a lot of green screen. At the time, it's just a sweaty mess of punches and kicks, and then you see it put together, and it's really a masterpiece.
Technology is just perfect for it right now. You know, I think they've been trying to make these kinds of movies for a while, and now it's like the right time.
But this, shot outside for the natural light.
It's really tricky to replicate natural light on a soundstage. You can do it, but sometimes it has a look that isn't quite as real as you want it to be, and we push for. I'm going to laugh when I say this, but we push for as much realism as we can.
So they shoot in the sun, in the heat, but sexy stunts are no longer enough.
You can have all the special effects in the world, but unless you have substance beneath it, no one cares, because we've seen enough special effects with this generation. We know what an explosion looks like.
So we have personality clashes and multiple characters. This is the current vogue in superhero movies, ensemble casts. Think The Avengers.
The more broad they get, the more interesting all the films get.
Or the recent Batman versus Superman.
Did you feel any pressure after some other recent superhero films were perhaps not so well received?
You feel pressure regardless of the landscape. You feel pressure, especially because of the previous films in the Marvel Universe. You almost feel pressure to kind of match your former self. It's not a solo effort.
There's an incredible amount of characters in the film, more than there's been in any Marvel movie.
Making his big screen debut, Black Panther, played by Chadwick Boseman.
And do you go by Chadwick, or do you get called Chad?
Try calling me Chad. Try it.
Black Panther is getting his own movie, slated for a 2018 release.
T'Challa is the prince of Wakanda. That's how you meet him in this movie. Wakanda is a highly technologically advanced country, probably the highest civilization on Earth.
Marvel has rolled out a huge kind of roster for themselves, which does not include either one of us having a standalone.
We're still friends, right?
Depends on how hard you hit me.
That's a crying shame. I love Black Widow.
You only make this worse.
You saying you'll arrest me?
Who did you like in the comics when you were a kid?
I never really read comic books as a kid.
Really?
As a kid, I had an older sister, so I wasn't exposed to, like, cool, tough comics. I was reading, like, Care Bears and, like, My Little Pony and stuff like that. I'm glad this is on film. This is great.
RDJ, the highest paid actor in Hollywood, will probably do another Iron Man.
I just finally know what I have to do.
I feel like I could do one more.
Apparently, he works hard for the money.
Downey's a real master. It may not necessarily be classified as improvisation, but he certainly rewrites, on the fly. After one take, scribble, 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 try this.
He never mentioned that. Maybe only 1,000 times.
His rewrites are not self-serving, they're scene-serving. He really knows how to make things better. I mean, that's why the Iron Man movies are so good.
Writing the only superpower he wants.
I wouldn't want any of that stuff. I'm very happy, very happy.
I'm sorry, did I just mishear you?
I'd much rather talk about how fun it is to play that than to actually have to deal with some weirdo superpower. I'd probably abuse it right away.
Sometimes I want to punch you in your perfect teeth.
Downey is playing a much darker version of Tony Stark than he's ever played. and he's just crushing it.
And a kind of role reversal.
You have Tony Stark, who's always danced to the beat of his own drum, feeling a little bit of guilt of the actions the Avengers have taken and the collateral damage that we've caused, where he feels responsible.
It seems like they kind of tear apart these cities, kind of like the slightly more realistic version of like Team America. Like, when is somebody going to say enough?
Just like we practiced.
What about the gas?
Steve Rogers has always been a company man, and Steve usually puts himself last. But this is the first film where you see him kind of pursue his own desire. He's come off of Winter Soldier, where he's seen the system fail him, and he kind of feels that the safest hands are his own. So you have a little bit of a role reversal.
I don't trust a guy without a dark side.
You're seeing Steve Rogers make choices now that he's in the modern world that he never would have made back in the Uncle Sam days, you know, and Chris Evans should get all the credit in the world for this working.
Cap, not quite so squeaky clean anymore.
Do you feel an added level of responsibility being that guy?
Maybe in my personal life, to some degree, yeah. You know, you want to make sure that you are in your walking around life. Even Stan Lee said to me a couple times that, you know, you got to make sure who you are is representative of the character, which at times can feel a little bit of pressure.
Has anyone ever said to you, Chris, your behavior is unworthy of Captain America?
Sure, my mom.
I'm Nick Watt for Nightline in Hollywood.